Oh yeah, how y'all doing? Man, this motherfucker telling me to rotate. Y'all, hold on a second, man. I'm trying to get this tablet right. I don't know how it's gonna look in the final version of this video, but y'all just watch the video. The truth is what it is. How y'all doing? This your boy Rod Thomas Jr. and this is the real news behind the news. Oh yeah, today is November 8th, 2021. And can I just keep it real with y'all for a second? Let me just keep it real. I hope I don't offend nobody, but if I do, who cares? Because the truth is what it is. Let me ask y'all a question. How many of you hard-working citizens basically can let your child go out to the Louisiana State Fair and know for a fact that your child ain't finna go out there and shoot 5, 6 niggas? Can I keep it real? The whole thing about it, let me just be real. I know a lot of people ain't gonna like this. I'm not gonna give a fuck. I mean, excuse me. This one of them videos where I'm gonna do a little cussing, but I'm gonna keep it real. If you send your child out and you let your child go, first of all, if you don't know your child gone out to the Louisiana State Fair, no matter how old your child is, you're not really that good of a parent. But if you let your child go out to the Louisiana State Fair and your child shoots somebody, what that say about you as a parent? Do y'all realize the last 2 years in a row, motherfucker couldn't even go to the fair because you had little niggas, I'm gonna say little nigglets, coming from nigger-ass parents who do not feel that they really need to understand that their child is a menace to society. You send your child out to the Louisiana State Fair and your child shoots somebody. Do y'all realize here in Shreveport, Louisiana right now, we got a young child who's fighting for his life. And I'm going to be real. I pray that this little child overcomes, but guess what? That little child was out there throwing up gang signs too. The little child got shot because you had a bunch of little nigglets out there at the fair here in Shreveport throwing up gang signs, and it turned out to be a big gang type of thing. And then you had a bunch of little nigglets fuck everything up for everybody else at the fair. What about that man who worked hard all that week to get enough money up to take his girlfriend out to the fair? He want to buy her some cotton candy. He want to take her to have a good time, and your child fucked it up for everybody because he out there shooting. At what point do we keep it real? I'm gonna be real. The world is a better off place without some of you all children, bro. Because you all will let your children get away with all the bullshit that they have been getting away with it, and it might cost somebody else's child their life. And then soon as your child go to prison, or soon as your child hurt somebody else, first thing you want to say is, my baby, he was a good boy. He didn't bother nobody. Now, ma'am, your baby is a motherfucking menace to society, and whatever happens to your child, it happens to him. And a lot of times, I'm going to just be real, the world is a better off place without some of our children. I mean, when I say our, I'm going to include my son. Because I don't know what my son does behind closed doors. But I do know what he does behind closed doors. Because what I train him and raise him in on a day-to-day basis is to be responsible, to be respectable. Some of y'all kids ain't worth shit. Some of y'all ain't shit. Let me ask you a question. What that little boy daddy was that shot that boy at the fair Friday? I bet he's a baby daddy. I bet the dude's father who shot that little boy at the fair Saturday here in Shreveport and fucked it up for everybody else. Well, because keep in mind, when that little shooting happened, you had a little youngster. Now you could tell a little youngster that was on the news, his family raised him, but I mean, in a better light, because he was like, yeah, I saw them two groups of niggas getting ready to fight, throwing up gang signs. I stayed where I was, and then I saw them fighting, and then I heard the shooting. And then I noticed somebody got shot. But if it was your child doing the shooting and your child that got shot, now I don't want to say about your child that got shot, because maybe the child that got shot was in the wrong place at the wrong time. But guess what? He could have been in the wrong place at the wrong time because he was hanging with gang motherfucking members and he got shot. Why we as black folk gotta keep letting you niggas fuck shit up for everybody else at the fair? Your kids are out there fucking shit up for the fair. You cannot be a real good parent. And let me ask you a question. What was the little boy who did the shooting father and the little boy who got shot? Where were their fathers at? It's sickening. Jerome Anderson say it's sickening. Senseless gun violence, murder, all day, every day. This shit is depressing. It is depressing when you got a bunch of single mothers out here acting like their child is just the innocent motherfucking thing on the face of the planet. My child ain't no, and he never did no wrong. Ma'am, your child is a motherfucking menace to society because your child had the whole fair shut down because he was shooting at other motherfucking people's children. Even if you didn't know that your son was out there shooting at the fair, guess what? That tells us how you raised your motherfucking son from Jump Street. But we supposed to sit back and play like it's white supremacy fault, like it's racism fault that your motherfucking son went out there at the fair this weekend and fucked it up for everybody and shot somebody else's son. Some of y'all parents ain't shit. I'm not trying to sit up there and just criticize nobody because I got an 11-year-old child and my 11-year-old is a handful because he want to be just like daddy. But guess what? My son got a daddy and he realized that dad gonna get off in that ass if things go wrong. Let me ask you a question. What was the little boy who did the shooting? Where was his dad at? Oh, he probably ain't got no daddy. He probably somebody's baby daddy. You know what I'm saying? And he has no responsibility. You sent your irresponsible ass child out to the fair and he fucked it up for everybody by shooting somebody else. You know what? I'ma just be real. Oh, I know a lot of y'all ain't gonna like this, but I'm gonna tell the truth. The world is a better off place without a lot of our kids. Because a lot of our kids are growing up in a fucked up ass mentality where they can do whatever they want to do, and it's white folks' fault. It's racism fault. It's motherfucking white supremacy fault instead of your fault for telling your son, don't you go down to that fair and shoot nobody or I'm going to tear your ass up out the frame. Yeah. Straight up, man. How many of y'all kids, I'm going to be real, you going to have a lot of motherfuckers that try to tell me, you wrong because don't too many parents know what their kids do. If you know your parent, you know your child ain't finna go out there and shoot nobody, raise your motherfucking hand. The only motherfucker that will say some shit like that is somebody who really don't know nothing about their motherfucking own children. They will send their children out to the Louisiana State Fair and your child would shoot somebody else. Because the little boy, now keep in mind, that little boy who was on Channel 12, who was on the news telling you what he saw, you can tell he got some good parents. Because guess what? He didn't get shot. And he was not a part of the gang activity that was going on at the time. A bunch of little gang banging ass kids went out to the fair. One gang banging group on one side, one gang banging group on the other side. And one dude out of the whole crowd shot and fucked everything for everybody else up at the fair. And wind up critically injuring another child. Guess what, ma'am? I don't know if you watching this video or not, but I'ma just be real. You and your child ain't shit. Straight up. I'ma just be real. I'm not trying to criticize you, put you down or whatever, but I'm telling you straight up, you ain't shit because you raised a child who is so fucking discombobulated from reality that he will go out to the Louisiana State Fair and shoot up a whole bunch of motherfucking, just shoot at the state fair, not telling who he would hit. That means your child didn't give a fuck about nobody out there. That means you didn't give a fuck about your child enough to send him out there with some kind of home training. At what point do we start taking control of our household, which means taking control of your children? Ma'am, if your child went out there and shot some shit up at the fair, the world is a better off place without your child. It's unfortunate that some little child got hit by that bullet and now is fighting for his life. But the parent of the child who did the shooting should be held responsible because you shouldn't have never let that little motherfucking psychopathic ass child, gang banging ass, future dope dealing, gang banging ass child of yours out there at the fair. You should have been out there with him. Let me ask you a question. What was the child's daddy at? But I'm going to show y'all something. In reality, when you look at a lot of the killing that's going on, when you have a lot of these children shooting children, guess what? A lot of them children don't have no daddy at the house. You got a mama, 6 aunties, and 2 grandmamas, and a couple of bitches that hang with your mama that's helping raising these little boys who are emotionally castrated, and these little cats out here shooting up people. As soon as your child shoots somebody else's child, first thing you're going to say, my baby didn't bother nobody. Ma'am, your baby is a motherfucking menace to society. Your baby should not be outside in public without a police escort. For real. When we going to get tired of these, I'm going to just keep it real, single-ass mothers who say they don't need a man to help raise their little boys. And when their little boys kill somebody, we supposed to have mercy and sympathy. Fuck that. No. Come on, man. If you can't go to think about this. I'm going to show y'all some real shit. You had a lot of single mothers raise little boys up throughout the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, and 90s, and then none of them little boys kill nobody or shoot nobody at the fair. You motherfucking victims of this 32-year-old grandmother syndrome, where you got a 32-year-old grandmama whose 22-year-old child done went out there and shot up the motherfucker at the fair. Fucked it up for everybody. And we supposed to act like everything cool. Now, fuck that. Get control of your kids, man. It was your child. Whoever this woman was, it was your motherfucking child went out there to the fair. And even though it was 2 gangs on both sides, it was your motherfucking child that shot another child and fucked everything up for everybody else at the fair. Come on, man. Let's just keep it real. Can I keep it real? Can I talk real sense? I'm not the most perfect father because my son almost got taken from me. He almost got took from me because of my drug dealing. But once I realized it, I tried my best to be the best father as I could be. Let me ask you a question, ma'am. To the little boy who shot the other little boy, where his daddy was? Where his daddy at? Is he a baby daddy or is he your child's father? If he was your child's father, 9 times out of 10, he wouldn't have shot that other little boy at the motherfucking fair and fucked it up for everybody. Lord Jesus, they done fucked up the fair for everybody. Your kids. Guess what? White supremacy didn't have shit to do with that. Police didn't have nothing to do with that. That was you being an irresponsible ass parent, not teaching your children the value of life. And your child went out there throwing up gang signs, shot another motherfucking child whose life is now in jeopardy, fucked up everything for everybody else at the fair. That's your children. That's your children. That shit ain't got nothing to do with no white supremacy, racism, none of that shit. You raised a fucked up ass child, and then you want us to sit back and say, well, my child, he was just No, your child was a piece of shit, just like you are, because your child did not understand the value of life. If you was a mother who really gave a fuck about your child, you would have taught them the value of life, because there's thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of real black women single black women who are raising their children to understand and respect life. To you motherfuckers who sent your ignorant ass children out there to the fair, who did that motherfucking shooting the other day, you're not a respectable mother. I'm gonna just keep it real. You're not a respectable mother. You're not somebody that we could say really loves and educates her child. Because the only thing you educated your child is when he sees somebody throw up a rival game set, shoot at them motherfuckers. Some of us parents are pieces of shit. And we raising piece of shit ass children. Straight up. That shit was crazy, man. Your child went and fucked the fair up for everybody. Do y'all realize that night, they even had the vendors? Boy, I ain't gonna tell you no lie. If I was out there when that shooting happened, they even made the vendors leave their motherfucking vending stand. Nigga, I'd have been out there getting caramel apples, corn dogs. Nigga, I'd have been out there trying to grab everything I could. Because guess what? Everybody had to leave the motherfucking fairgrounds because of your ignorant ass children. Straight up. And I'm not finna shit up here and sugarcoat shit, make it seem like that shit was cool. Your ignorant ass children fucked up everything for everybody at the fair. And a nigga like me would have been running around there. As soon as the police say, everybody gotta clear out, I'd have been trying to grab 2 corn dogs, a motherfucking chili dog, a motherfucking alligator on a stick. I'd have been trying to grab everything, because guess what? Everybody had to leave the fair because of your fucking dumb ass children. Who fault is that? That shit ain't got nothing to do with white supremacy, racism. That shit is a fault at your own home. You cannot tell me that you didn't know. Let me ask you a question. And it's going to come out, and I'm going to say this and I'm going to end. If your son was an honor roll student, do you think he'd be shooting motherfuckers up at the fair? Now, evidently your son is one of them special ed ass kids who sit in a classroom all day, one classroom. Everybody else kid got 6 classes. Your child sit in one classroom all goddamn day and draw pictures of butterflies and shit. He in special ed. But you want everybody to think that little Junior, he don't bother nobody. Man, little Junior needs motherfucking counseling. You do too. If you think that shit was cool, what little Junior did at the fair. But anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and let this video end. I know I'm pissed a couple of y'all off, and guess what? I don't give a fuck, because you need to raise your kids, man. Better than what you doing, bruh. Come on, man. The fair been here for as long. I'm 51 years old, and the fair been here, and it's only been in the last 2-3 years where we heard motherfuckers get beat up, stabbed, and shot at the fair. That means it's not so much as the fair, it's the people who sending their kids to this motherfucking fair. Come on, if your child was the one who did that, you need to turn your child in instead of waiting till your child gets shot and murdered because he shot somebody else and murdered. Remember, if you live by the sword, you die by the sword. So if your child shot this little boy at the fair, now 2 years later, your child gets shot, and then you got pastor at the funeral line talking about Junior was a great little boy. Now, fuck that. Junior was a menace to society, and the whole world is a better off place without your son or your daughter. Not trying to judge nobody, because shit, the same shit can happen with my 11-year-old, but I be goddamn. Because again, where was that child's father? 9 times out of 10, if a lot of these little boys had fathers in their life, they wouldn't be trying to run behind these gang members. They wouldn't be looking up to gang members and dope dealers as role models. You black women sit around here talking about you don't need no motherfucking man. You probably don't, because you got vibrators or you got these studs. But your children, your boys, they need a man. to help raise them to become men. And until your children have men in their life, whether they daddies, uncles, or cousins, or whatever, we're going to have a bunch of fuck-ass little boys running around here fucking everything up for everybody else at the factory.